This course is about designing effective online communication. What is communication? The word communication was derived from the Latin word communis, which means common. It denotes the act of imparting, conveying, or exchanging ideas through speech, writing, or signs. Communication, therefore, is the art of transmitting information, ideas, and attitude from one person to another. Communication, as we all know, is the cornerstone of human interaction. Communication is not just about exchanging words. It's about conveying thoughts, ideas, and emotions in a manner that is easily comprehensible and impactful. Communication enables people to convey messages, share knowledge, express emotions, and establish connection with one another. Effective communication involves the clear and coherent transmission of messages that are understood as intended. Effective communication involves interaction of various elements that synergize to deliver a cohesive message. These elements include: 1, the source. The source refers to the individual or group or entity initiating the communication process by formulating a message to convey to the receiver. 2 is the receiver. Receiver is the individual or the audience for whom the message was or is intended. The receiver is responsible for decoding and interpreting the message to extract its intended meaning. The other element is the context. Communication always takes place within a context. It can either restrict or stimulate the communication process. For instance, when we are speaking in a church, we may communicate differently than when we are speaking in a playing field. The other element is the message. The message is the content or information being communicated. This can be verbal, written, non-verbal, visual, or a combination of these forms. Another element is the channel. The channel refers to the route or vehicle along which the message is transmitted from a sender to receiver. When you write something, the piece of paper becomes the channel. Newspapers, magazines, radio, television, and internet becomes channels in mass communication. Another element is the noise. Noise is anything that distorts or interferes with the message. For instance, the screeching of a passing car, prejudices, bias, poor grammar. All this can interfere with the effective and efficient transmission of messages from the sender to the receiver. Encoding is another element in communication. This refers to the act of producing messages, for example, speaking or writing. It is an act of transmitting a message into it is an act of translating a message into a language or a code suitable for transmission to the intended receiver. And decoding is another important element in the communication process. Decoding is the act of understanding or comprehending a message. When we speak, we are putting our ideas into the sound waves. In other words, we are encoding that message. By translating sound waves into ideas, we are taking them out of the code they are in, and hence decoding. When we read a text, we are decoding the written symbol of a language. Message recipients must be able to recognize the sender's intent, consider the message context, resolve any misunderstanding, appropriately decode the information, and determine how to act on it. Feedback is another element in communication. It refers to any process by which the communicator obtains information as to whether and how his or her intended receiver has received the message. In a face-to-face communication situation, this may take the form of questions, requests to repeat something, a gesture, a response, and so on. In an online communication, feedback could be in form of likes, phone calls, and so on. Feedback is important because it can help modify future communication or behavior. Effect is another element in communication. And when we talk about the effect, here we are talking about the consequence of communication, consequences of communication. When the sender sends a message, he expects the receiver to do something. That is what we are calling the effect. You should now be able to explain the significance of each of the following elements of communication. In the next two videos, we are going to look at theories of communication.